Hi guys, and welcome back to the Crochet Toy YouTube channel. In today's video I'm bringing you another free pattern, and this time it's for a pattern from one of my favourite Netflix anime series, which is called Aggretsuko. So I'm sure a lot of you guys that watch my videos probably watch that as well, so hopefully you guys are excited about a pattern from this anime. And the character that I've made first off is Gori, because she's actually my favourite character in the series. And I was a bit disappointed because in series 4, which has recently just come out, she didn't really make a big appearance, so that was kind of sad. But yeah, I had a little search on the internet and I couldn't actually see that anyone had ever crocheted Gori before, so I think I may be the first here. But yeah, here is what she looks like. So she's just got her little pink dress on and her yellow earrings and the necklace. And yeah, this is what she looks like. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. So I'm really hoping that you guys are going to like this pattern as well. And there's probably going to be more, well, I know there's going to be more Aggretsuko patterns to come in the future because I've already made one, but I'll keep secret about which character it is that I've made there. I guess I really like the series because the main character is an accountant, and that's not common in TV series, and I guess I can relate to that slightly, although it looks like office life is a bit more of a nightmare in Japan than it is over here. So yeah, but anyway, I'll stop waffling on about Aggretsuko. I hope you guys enjoy this tutorial, and as always the written pattern will be available on my blog for free as well, so that will be linked down below if you want to have that open at the same time as watching this video. So yeah, let's get into what you'll be needing for this tutorial. For this tutorial you'll be needing aran weight yarn in the following colours: light grey, dark grey, hot pink, red and yellow. Then you'll be needing your crochet hook. I've got a 4mm crochet hook here to go with the aran weight yarn, but if you're using DK or something else, then you can size up or down as needed. You'll then be needing some black embroidery thread for the face details and a yarn needle to use with this. You'll also need some red and black felt for the face details, and you'll be needing some fabric glue to glue those down. And you'll be needing some scissors to cut those face details out, and also just to cut your yarn. Then you'll be needing some stuffing. I've just got a small amount here to demonstrate, but you'll be needing a lot more than this. You'll be needing a yarn needle. I'm just using a offcut of my yellow yarn here. And then finally you may want some pins for sewing things together. So that is everything that you'll be needing for this tutorial. We're going to start off by crocheting the head, so if you grab your mid-grey yarn at the moment, and we're just going to start off by doing 6 single crochets into a magic circle. Just like that, and then you're just going to pull to close up the hole. So that is the end of round 1, and we've got our 6 single crochets all the way around. So now for round 2, we're just going to increase in each of these single crochets, so we're going to be doing 2 single crochets in each of them. Okay, so that's the end of round 2. We've now got 12 single crochets all the way around. I'm just going to talk you through the next few rounds, as it's just standard increases of increments of 6. So for round 3 you're going to do single crochet increase and repeat that 5 more times to get you to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 4, 2 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 5, 3 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 6, single crochet all the way around in each of those 30 single crochets. And then round 7, 4 single crochet, increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 36 single crochets at the end of the round. I'll meet you when you're ready to start round 8, as that's when we're going to start doing some colour changes using our darker grey yarn. Okay, so now I'm ready to start round 8, and we're going to be doing colour changes in this round and in all of the rounds up to round 20 now. The reason that we're going to be doing that is because we want to create the dark grey middle of the face. I'll just show you, this is a Gori that I've made previously, and we're trying to create this effect in the middle of the face now, just so that you understand why we're doing this. So for round 8, to start off with, we're just going to do 16 single crochets in our mid grey colour, and I'm going to mark the first stitch just so I remember where the round started. So the next single crochet will be my 16th, so I'm going to start it as usual, but I'm going to pull through in my dark grey colour to change the colour, so that's just what I'm going to do here. Okay, so now we've changed to dark grey, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do just 5 single crochets in the dark grey colour. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then on the 5th single crochet we're going to want to change back to our light grey, our mid grey colour. And one thing I'm going to mention at this point is when I'm doing the colour changes, I'm actually not going to be carrying the other colour around at the same time as me crocheting. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to be crocheting over the mid grey whenever I'm doing the dark grey colour and vice versa. And the reason for that is I find that sometimes that can make your work quite tight, and sometimes the other colour can also show through. So I'm actually going to be cutting the yarn every single time and reattaching it every single time. Now obviously you don't have to do it this way, you can do whatever works best for you, but I'm just telling you at this point that this is the way that I am going to do it and how I did it on my previous Gori that I made. So I'm just pulling through in the mid grey colour again, so now I can finish off the round in this mid grey colour, and that will be 15 single crochets. So I'm just going to do that now. I do always crochet over both colours for the first 1 or 2 stitches, by the way, just for extra security, but as you'll see I won't do that the whole way around. So I'll probably just do the first 2 like this, and then after that I'm just going to continue crocheting like normal. So there we have it, that's the end of round 8. So you should still have 36 single crochets all the way around, and you should have your little colour change in the middle here. I will do the next couple of rounds with you as well, just to show you again how we do the colour change, and also show you how to do a decrease, because we're going to do a decrease in round 10. And then what I'll probably do is for the remaining rounds up till round 20, I'll just flash the pattern on screen, and I'll also have it obviously on my blog as well, which will be linked down below, so you can have a look there and you can understand where we need to do the colour changing and what the pattern is for each of those rounds. So we're ready to start round 9. So for round 9 we're going to do 15 single crochets this time in our mid grey colour, and once again I'm just going to mark the first stitch here. So that's the first one. The next stitch would be our 15th one, so I'm going to make sure that we change colour in that stitch. I'm just going to snip this dark grey yarn so that it's ready to use. So there we go, I've changed to dark grey, and now this time we're going to do 8 single crochets in the dark grey colour. So 1, 2, and at this point I'm going to stop crocheting over the tails. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then we're going to change back to the mid grey. So again, I'm going to cut my mid grey yarn so that it's ready to attach. Then 8, cool, and then we're just going to finish off the round in our mid grey colour, so that's going to be 13 more single crochets. Okay, so that's the end of round 9. Another thing to mention is, as you go along, if you're doing the same method I'm doing, where you're not carrying the yarn tails around your work, you can be knotting off these little tails just to provide extra security, I suppose, to your work. But I don't think I did that in my other Gori that I did, and it's managed to stay together perfectly fine. So yeah, I just thought I'd mention that as well. But yeah, now we're ready to start round 10. So now we're ready to start round 10. As I mentioned, there are some decreases in this round. So to try and explain how this round works to you, the basic pattern that we're going to be doing is 4 single crochet, decrease, and repeating that 6 times in total all the way around, and that'll get us down to 30 single crochets at the end of round 10. However, the added complication to this is that we're going to be needing to do some colour changes during the round. So the first 13 stitches should be in this mid grey colour. The next 7 will be in your dark grey, and then the final 10 will be in your mid grey. So I'm going to do this round with you just to show you. So we're going to start off by just crocheting in our mid grey colour, and I am going to again mark the first stitch. So 1, 2, 3, 4, then we need to do a decrease, and that will be our 5th stitch. So I'll just show you how to do the decrease. So pull up a loop in this stitch, and then in the second stitch, and then yarn over and pull through all of those loops on your hook. So that was the 5th stitch of the round. So this is 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, another decrease, 11, 12, and this is going to be the 13th stitch, so we're going to need to change to our dark grey colour. I'd already cut the yarn, so I already had this ready. So that was that. Then, as I mentioned, we're going to be needing to do the next 7 stitches, so up to the 20th stitch in total in our dark grey colour. So that was 13, so this is 14, and then we need to do a decrease over the next 2 stitches, so this is 15, then 16, 17, 18, 19, and then we're doing a decrease over the next 2 stitches, and also we're going to be changing to our mid-grey colour, so I'll just get that ready. Okay, so you're going to just pull your loops up in your dark grey colour like you would normally, but then you're going to pull through in this mid-grey colour, and that's how you change the colour there. So now we've done that, we just need to finish the round in our mid-grey colour, so I'm just going to do that now. So that was 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and then 30. So that's the end of round 10. So you should start to be seeing that kind of face shape in the middle starting to take shape now. So as I mentioned, I think what I'm going to do is for rounds 11 to 20, I'm just going to put them up on screen now because it's all techniques that you've seen before, so increases, single crochets, decreases and colour changes. So yeah, I'll just put them up on screen, and I'll also put them in the free pattern that's on my blog linked down below. And I'll meet you when you've got to the end of round 20, as we'll then be nearly finished with the head at that point, and I'll tell you what we're going to do next basically. So yeah, see you in a little bit. I got to the end of round 20 and this is what it's looking like. So hopefully yours looks similar to this, and you can kind of see how we've got that dark effect in the middle of the face now, which is quite nice. So for round 21, you're just going to be working in your mid-grey, and you're only going to be working in mid-grey from now on, and there's no more colour changing required. And all you're going to be doing is 2 single crochet decrease, and repeat that 5 more times to get you to 18 single crochets at the end of the round. And I'll meet you when you finish round 21, as we'll then stuff the head and then do the last couple of rounds. Got to the end of round 21 and I've just stuffed the head firmly at this point, so you're going to want to do the same thing, and then we're just going to do the last couple of rounds now. So for round 22, single crochet decrease, and repeat that 5 more times all the way around. That'll get you down to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. And then round 23, decrease all the way around to get you down to 6 stitches at the end of round 23. So I'll meet you at that point as I'll show you how to close up the hole, and then we will add the face details to get that part out of the way. So I got to the end of round 23 and now I'm going to close up this hole. So I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving a bit of a tail, and I'm just going to use my yarn needle, and I'm going to weave this through the front loop only of each of these 6 stitches. I'm just going to pull that, and as you can see the hole has closed up now, and I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through to the back of the head, and I will snip that. Okay, so we've got our head now, this is what it should look like, and now we're going to add the face details. I'm going to start by cutting the mouth out of red felt, so we want kind of like a small kind of heart shape, I guess you could say. So I'm just going to start that now. Something like this is probably along the right line, so I might just tidy it up a little bit. I'm just going to put this on the face and see how it looks. Yeah, so this is what you're after really, just something like this. So as I mentioned, I might just tidy it up a little bit, and then I'm going to glue this down with my fabric glue. I'm now going to use my black embroidery thread to embroider the mouth. You can tidy up any stuffing that comes out afterwards. Not too happy with the second line I did there. I'm just gonna redo that. Okay, so hopefully you can see this. I know it's a little bit hard to see the black on the dark grey, but you should just have a line going through the middle of the mouth like this, and then 2 lines either side of the mouth, and then you're just going to want to put 1 extra line underneath the mouth as well. So I'm just going to do that now. Yep, I'm not happy with that. I'm just going to redo that. Okay, that's much better. So we've got the line under the mouth, the line going through the mouth, and then the 2 lines either side. So now I'm just going to embroider the nose as well, but before I do that, I'm just going to get some tweezers and tidy this little bit up with the bits of stuffing that have come out, so I'll see you in a bit. I'm going to embroider the nose now. Okay, so that is the nose there, and then we're just going to add the eyes, which we need to cut out of black felt. For the eyes, I've started off by cutting a small rectangle out of our black felt, and then I'm going to round one of the corners quite significantly, so kind of like this, so like that. And then I'm going to round off this opposite corner a little bit, but not quite as dramatically. So like that. And then I'm just gonna soften the other two corners just a little bit. Okay, so this is the shape that I've got, as you can see here, and I'm just going to try this on the face to see if I'm happy with it. So the eye would be going around here. I think it's a little bit too big, so I might just make that a bit smaller, but that is the general shape that you're going for. I think mine's just a little bit too long, so I'm just going to make that a little bit shorter. But yeah, so you just want to make two eyes like that, and once you've got them, then we're going to glue those down either side of the nose, and then we're done with the face details. I got my two eyes, as you can see, and I'm happy with them, so I'm just going to glue those down now in the position that they're currently in, and then we can move on to the next part, which is going to be making the ears. So I've already made one of the ears here. It's quite a quick and simple piece to make, so let's make the other one together. So to start off with, you're going to want your dark grey yarn, and you're going to do 6 single crochets in a magic circle for round 1. Then you're going to close up the hole like this, and then for round 2 you're just going to single crochet all the way around. And I'm just going to snip that tail. Okay, so that's the end of round 2, and then the final thing that we need to do is fold this closed and do 3 slip stitches across to close. So 1, 2, 3. And that's it, that's the ear finished. So just cut your yarn, leaving a long enough tail for sewing. And once you've made 2 of those ears, come back and I'll show you how to sew these to the head. As you can see here, I've sewn down one of the ears, so I'm just going to do the other one with you now. So I'm going to try and make it roughly in line with where I sewed the first one, and I'm going to start sewing that down. You could use some pins, but because it's such a small piece, I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to try and do this freehand. So I'm just going to be whip stitching those 3 slip stitches down. 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna, before I work around the back, I'm just going to check if I'm happy with the positioning or if I think that needs to be changed. I think that's roughly about right, so I'm going to just leave it like that, and then I'm going to work around the back now. Okay, so before I finish off, I'm just going to do a final check that I'm happy with the positioning of that. Yep, I think I'm happy with that. It doesn't have to be completely perfect. So I'm just going to weave that yarn tail through the ear, and then I'll cut that. Okay, so now we have both of our ears sewn down. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make the earrings, and then we're going to sew those to the ears. Once again, I've gone ahead and made one of the earrings already, so I'm going to do the second one with you now. So you just want to grab your yellow yarn this time, and all we need to do is just 3 single crochets in a magic circle. 1, 2, free, pull to close up the hole, and then you're going to cut your yarn. I'm probably leaving maybe a bit too much here, but I rather leave too much than too little, so that's how much I left when I cut it. And then what I'm going to do is, just like if you were closing up a hole, like we did at the end of round 23 for the head, we're just going to weave our yarn tail through the front loop only of each of the 3 single crochets we did there. So 1, 2, and then 3. And then what you're going to do is you're going to kind of hold what you've just made here kind of like this and pull tightly to try and close up that hole, just like this. And that is it. So now we've got our 2 earrings, so now we can sew these to the ears. I've sewn down one of my earrings, as you can see, and I'm going to do the other one with you now. So I'm going to use my longer tail to start off with, and obviously you can sew this down in any way that you want, but I just found this was an easy way to do it. So I'm just going to feed that yarn tail through this stitch here at the bottom, and then I'm going to do the same thing with my shorter yarn tail. Just going to feed that through to the back like this. I'm just going to pull that fairly tightly and just kind of position the earring how I want it to sit. And then at the back of the ear where my 2 tails are, I'm just going to knot these together, and then I'm just going to feed them back through the earring and cut them. So that's one, then I'm just going to do the other one. So I'm just going to cut those tails as close as I can to the earring. Okay, and then I'm just going to kind of scrunch it up a little bit and get it into the position that I like. But there we go, we've got our 2 earrings now, one on either ear. So the next thing that we're going to move on to is making the body and the legs. So we're going to start off at the legs and then join them together and then make the body. So let's do that now. So for the legs, we're going to start off with our red yarn, and for round 1 we're just going to do 3 single crochets in a magic circle. And then for round 2 we're just going to increase all the way around to bring us up to 6 single crochets at the end of round 2. And I'm just about to do the final single crochet of round 2, and we need to change to our mid grey colour, so I'm just going to do that now. Got a bit knotted at the end there, but there we go. So I'm just going to pull through in my mid grey. So now we finished round 2. Then for round 3, you're going to just single crochet all the way around. Okay, so that's the end of round 3, and we've got 6 single crochets all the way around. I'll just show you a little trick actually now while I notice it. If you can see that little loop I accidentally pulled out there, that little red loop, if you ever get something like that, you can just push your your crochet hook, sorry, into like a space nearby, and then just pull that loop back inside the project. So now you can see, you can't see that little loop anymore. So just thought I'd show you that if you ever make a little mistake and do something like that. But yeah, what I'm probably going to do now is just talk you through the remaining rounds for the leg, because again, it's nothing new, no new techniques that you haven't already seen yet. So let's do that. So for round 4, you're going to do 2 single crochet increase, 2 single crochet increase. That'll get you to 8 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 5, single crochet all the way around. Round 6, 3 single crochet increase, 3 single crochet increase to get you to 10 single crochets at the end of the round. Round 7, single crochet all the way around. Round 8, 4 single crochet increase, 4 single crochet increase to get you to 12 single crochets at the end of the round. And then for round 9, single crochet all the way around. So I'll meet you at the end of round 9. So I got to the end of round 9, and all I'm going to do is cut my yarn, leaving a little bit of a tail. Doesn't need to be too much. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to repeat rounds 1 to 9 again, but this time I'm going to leave my yarn on the hook, and then in round 10 we're going to join the 2 legs together. So I'll meet you when you're ready to start round 10. Okay, so now in round 10 we're going to join the 2 legs together. So we're going to start off by doing 6 single crochets into the leg that was already on your hook, and I'm going to just use a stitch marker here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then what we're going to do is we're going to work 6 single crochets into your 12 single crochets all the way around your other leg. So you can start in any stitch, doesn't really make a big difference. I'm just going to start here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. And then we're just going to work 6 single crochets back into the other leg, and if you're not sure which single crochet to start going into, just count back 6 before the stitch marker. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's this one here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now at the end of round 10 you should have your 2 legs joined together, and you should have 24 single crochets all the way around. So now you just need to work the next few rounds for the body. So round 11 is going to be 3 single crochet increase, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 30 single crochets at the end of the round. Rounds 12 to 16 single crochet all the way around. Round 17, 3 single crochet decrease, repeat that 5 more times to get you to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. And then rounds 18 to 21 single crochet all the way around. So I'll meet you at that point, as we then need to stuff the legs and the body, and then we'll be sewing the body to the head as well. So I got to the end of round 21. As you can see, I've stuffed the body and the legs at this point. So now I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving quite a long tail, because we're going to be sewing this to the head. You may want to sew round twice depending on how firm it comes out the first time round, so I'm going to give myself quite a lot of yarn to work with here, just in case I need it. So now that I've done that, I'll show you how to sew this to the head. And one thing that you are going to want to do at this point is just decide which side is your neater side. So for me, looking at both sides, if you can see at the back here, the colour changes are a bit more visible at the back, and it also looks a little bit wonky at the top here, whereas this side looks a lot neater. So I'm going to have this as my front side. So yeah, just make sure that you do the same so that you can position this properly when you start sewing. So let's move on to that now. So I've got my head here, and I'm just going to place this like this in my lap, and then I'm going to position the body on top of it. So this was my front, so I'm just going to map that, make sure that that goes to the front, the face side of the head. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to whip stitch around to join the body to the head. So I'll show you a few of those whip stitches. And of course you can use pins if you want to. I personally don't really want to, so I'm not going to do that. I don't usually use pins when sewing the body to the head, but yeah, if that's something that you want to do, feel free to do that. So I'm just going around. Just like that. So yeah, I think you get the idea. I'm going to just do that all the way around. I'll meet you when I've gone round once, and I'll let you know whether I feel like I need to go around again or if I'm happy with just the once. So I've come back to where I started, and I'm pretty happy that sewing around once is enough, because when I jiggle it like this, it's not all floppy and stuff. Like this is quite secure at this point. So I'm just going to leave it like this, and all I'm going to do, just to finish this off, if you don't have a long yarn tail at this stage, you can just reattach some yarn to do this, but I'm going to feed my yarn tail through to one of the legs at the bottom, so I might have to do it a couple of times to get it there. So I'm just going to push this through to the bottom, keep going, and then I'm just going to push it through to the side of one of these legs. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to sew the two legs together at the bottom, because that's how I want it to sit. I want the legs to be like this. So I'm just going to go into this side and then just push the yarn back through the foot and pull fairly tightly. Just make sure that it's sitting properly. So yeah, you can see the two legs are joined together now, and I'm just gonna again pull a little bit on that and then just push my yarn tail back up through the leg and then probably into the back of the body, and then I can just cut that because we're done with it for now. You could also sew up that little gap between the legs that you can see there, but because we're not really going to see that now because we've sewn the legs together, I'm not going to bother with that. But if you wanted to be very particular, you could do that. So I know she looks a little bit weird right now, but trust me, once we've got the dress and the arms on as well, and also the necklace, it will all start to come together a little bit better. So the next thing that we're going to do is work on the arms. So if you grab your mid-grey yarn, let's do that now. So I've gone ahead and made the first arm, so let's make the second one together. They're quite straightforward to make. So to start off with, we're just going to do 4 single crochets in a magic circle. So that's the end of round 1. Then for round 2, you're just going to increase in each single crochet all the way around, and that'll get you up to 8 single crochets at the end of the round. So So that's the end of round 2, and then for rounds 3 to 9 you're just going to single crochet all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end of round 9 as we then need to slip stitch the arm closed, and then we'll sew the arms to the body. I'm at the end of round 9 now, so we're not going to stuff the arm at all. At least I'm not going to. If you want to, you can, but I just prefer a lot how it looks when it's completely flat, so that's what I'm going to do with my Gori. So to finish this off, we're just going to do 4 slip stitches across to close up the top of the arm. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then I'm just going to cut my yarn, leaving a tail for sewing. So when you've got your 2 arms like this, come back and we'll sew these to the body. I've sewn down one of the arms, so I'm going to do the other one with you now. So I'm going to just try and position this so that it's looking good. That looks about right to me. And then I'm just going to start whip stitching these 4 slip stitches down to start with. Okay, and before I move on, just going to check I'm still happy with that positioning. Yep, I think so. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to sew down a couple of stitches either side of the arm as well. So I'm going to start at the front here. Just sew a couple of these. And then I'm going to weave my yarn tail through to the back and just do a couple at the back. Okay, so that's all done, and I'm happy that the arms aren't moving too much, so I'm just going to leave it like that. So when you're done, just weave your yarn tail through to any stitch in the back, and then you can just cut that off. Cool, so the next thing that we need to do is to crochet the dress. So if you grab your pink yarn, let's do that now. For round 1, we're going to start off by chaining 30. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll meet you when you've got your 30. Now that I've got my 30 chain, I'm just going to start single crocheting all the way around. So 30 single crochets starting in that first chain that I made at the beginning. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. I'll meet you when you've done 30. Okay, so I've done my 30 single crochets all the way around, so that's the end of round 1. And one thing you probably just want to check at this point, just to make sure, is that you can slide this onto the legs and that it sits nicely, so it should not be too tight or too loose. It should kind of sit like this. If you're finding that it's too tight, then you might want to do a few additional single crochets, and if you're finding it's too loose, again, you might just want to do a few less. However, Obviously this will affect further rounds moving forward, so you may have to do an extra decrease or an extra increase round if you're starting off with a different starting chain other than 30, but hopefully this should work for you if you've been using a consistent yarn weight all throughout the pattern, because I've tried this with a couple of different aran weight yarns and I've found that it's worked with both. So yeah, hopefully the chain of 30 works for you. But now all we're going to do is again just some simple rounds of single crocheting all the way around, and then a round of decreases, and then another couple of rounds where we single crochet all the way around. So for rounds 2 to 5 you're just going to single crochet all the way around. Round 6 you're going to do single crochet, decrease, and repeat that 5 more times to get you to 24 single crochets at the end of the round. And then round 7 to 8 single crochet all the way around. I'll meet you at that point, as we're then going to start doing some rows, and that's going to create the front and back panels of the dress, and then we're just going to need to join them together slightly to create a bit of a sleeve at the top of the dress, but I'll show you how to do all of that when we get to that point. So I'll meet you when you finish round 8. So I got to the end of round 8 and I just slid the dress onto Gori to just show you what it looks like at this stage. So actually really this should be positioned more towards the back, because what we're actually going to do next is we're going to start crocheting the back panel in rows, then we're going to reattach our yarn, do the front panel in rows, and then we're going to do a final round 9 that's going to join the rows together and create sleeves for Gori. So hopefully you can kind of see how this is coming together. So to do the back panel rows, all we're going to do is just chain 1 for row 1, turn and do 8 single crochets, and then for row 2 we're going to do the exact same thing. So chain 1, turn and do 8 single crochets. So that is it for the back panel. So we're just going to cut our yarn, leave a bit of a tail so that you have something to work with when you're tying everything off and hiding any of the remaining tails. But now we're ready to reattach our pink yarn and do the front panel. So after we finished this row 2, we're just going to sort of scoot our way down to this single crochet, the one that we worked in last, and then we're going to skip the next 4 single crochets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to reattach our yarn into the 5th one here. Just like that. And then we're basically going to do the exact same thing again. So we've already kind of chained 1 to attach the yarn in again. So I'm just going to start off by doing 8 single crochets for row 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and at this point you probably want to double check that you definitely reattached your yarn into the right stitch, and you should know that because you will have 4 single crochets left unworked here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. If that's not the case for you, then you'll probably want to go back and just double check that you actually reattached your yarn into the correct stitch. So now all I'm going to do is chain 1, turn and work 8 single crochets back down for row 2. Okay, so that's the end of the rows, so keep your yarn on the hook, and we're going to work round 9 now, which is going to join these panels together and create little sleeves. So to start the round, you're going to chain 1, turn and do 8 single crochets again. Then you're going to chain 4. Then you're going to work 8 single crochets across the back panel. Then you're going to chain 4 again. And then you're going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of round 9, which will be this one here. Try and get that as tight as possible. Okay, and now that you've done that, you can just cut your yarn. Again, leave a bit of a tail because we're going to want to make sure this is secure by doing a bit of knotting on the inside of the dress. But yeah, this is what it's looking like at the moment, so hopefully you can kind of understand how this works. So those are the 2 armholes there, and we can just put this onto Gori once we've done a bit of tidy up. So the first thing I'm going to mention is that on round 1 you'll see that where we started single crocheting around, there's probably going to be a bit of an uneven part there. Now this shouldn't be a massive issue because it should be positioned kind of to the side of Gori, so you shouldn't really notice this when you put the dress on her. However, if you do want to be picky about it and you want to try and tidy this up, what you'd want to do is use your tail from the beginning of the round when you started chaining, and annoyingly I crocheted over this, so I'm just going to try and pick out the tail that I left at the beginning of chaining, just so that I can use it here. Now you could also reattach some yarn if you wanted to, but hopefully you've got a bit of a tail at the beginning that you could use, so I'm just going to take advantage of that. I'm going to use my yarn needle, and I'm just going to kind of create a little fake loop at the bottom here like this. Now as you can see, it's obviously still a little bit uneven here, but it does look a lot better than it did before, so I'm just going to leave it like that. You could try and make it look even neater if you wanted to, but as I mentioned, it's not really a visible part of the dress anyway. So now I'm just going to knot this on the inside. I'm trying to put my yarn my crochet hook through this loop and I can't get into it. Okay, never mind, let's just pick a different one. It doesn't have to be that one. And I'm just going to do a knot here to secure that, and then I might just do one more a bit further into the dress, and then I'm just going to pull that yarn tail through one final loop and cut this, and because this is on the inside you won't see this. Okay, so that's the tidy up at the bottom of the dress. As you can see, it hopefully looks a little bit better now. So now I'm just going to tidy up the other yarn tails that we have at the top of the dress. For this, I've just turned the dress inside out. So this tail, we already crocheted over it, so I'm not really going to do any more securing of this one. But these 2 tails we didn't crochet over, so we do need to actually make sure these are secure in the back. So I'm going to do a little bit of knotting, just similar to what I already did previously. I'm not going to worry again too much about being neat or anything. This is just on the inside of the dress and you won't be able to see this. Okay, so now I'm going to turn the dress back the right way round. And now we just need to put the dress on Gori. So I'm just going to put the dress on now. Just take your time with it. Hopefully your yarn should have a bit of stretch to it like mine does, and therefore you should just be able to gradually slide this on to Gori. You may just need to take a bit of time doing it gently. Okay, and now I'm just going to feed the arms through. And then I'm just going to make it a little bit neater, just play around with the positioning a little bit. Okay, so there we have it. As you can see, unfortunately with the yarn that I've used, you can see a little bit of holes in it. This will just completely depend on the brand of yarn you use and kind of how thick it is. But I think this is probably exacerbated because I've got a bright light shining on it. So I think in normal lighting, you probably wouldn't notice the body colour showing through. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, as you can see, we're now nearly finished. So the final little step to do is just the yellow necklace, and that won't take long at all. So let's just grab our yellow yarn and do that quickly now together. So for the necklace, we're going to chain 30 just as we did for the dress. So I'm not going to bore you with a clip of me doing all 30 chains. I'll just meet you when you've done that. So I've got my chain of 30 now. And all we're going to do is we're just going to slip stitch to the first chain, and that is literally how we make the necklace. You could just do this here and then slide the necklace onto Gori, but to make my life a bit easier, I'm probably just going to slip stitch this while the necklace is around Gori's neck, so I don't have to bother doing that later on. So I've got the necklace around the neck. I'm just going to go to the back and do this at the back. I'm going to just slip stitch into first chain like this, and try and again do it as tightly as possible like we did for the dress. And I'm just going to cut my yarn. You don't really need to leave a long tail, but just to be on the safe side, I'm going to leave a bit of a tail for myself here. I'm going to just pull that, and now we just need to do a little bit of hiding these two yarn tails, and then we're basically done with this. So the first thing I think I'm going to do is probably just knot these two tails together to add a bit of extra security to the necklace. Because this is at the back, I'm not too worried about how it looks. If you wanted to make it neater, you could, but I mean, I don't think that looks too bad anyway, so I'm kind of happy with that. Now, if you want the option to be able to move the necklace around, then you're going to have to try and just weave these yarn tails somehow through the necklace in a way that doesn't show, or maybe you don't care about it, again, because this is at the back, so it doesn't really matter. But I'm just going to make sure I'm happy with the positioning at the front, which I am happy with that. And then once I've decided I'm happy with that, I'm probably just going to feed these yarn tails through into the body potentially and just cut them. So I'm just going to go through like this to somewhere at the bottom where I can access still. I'm not going to pull too tightly because otherwise it'll kind of be a bit obvious, I think, what we've done here. And I'm just going to do the same with the other yarn tail. And then I'm just going to cut those. Okay, so now Gori's got her little matching necklace to go with her earrings, which I think is really cute. So that's pretty much it now, so I'm just going to show you a final view of what the finished product should look like, hopefully, what mine looks like, and that's going to be it for the video. So this is the finished Gori, and there she is from the back. She definitely looks a lot better from the front, but that's fine because no one's really going to be looking at the back anyway. But yeah, I'm really pleased with this, to be honest. Like, Gori is my favourite character from Aggretsuko, and I've been meaning to make her for ages, and I'm so glad I finally did it, and I'm really happy with how she turned out, particularly the face. I think it really captures what she actually looks like on the show. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I've got some more Aggretsuko patterns to come, so stay tuned for that, and other than that, I shall see you in my next video. Bye guys.